Okay, everybody, Dr. Rafich here from Vet Triage. We are continuing on with this issue of JAVMA from June 1st, 2015. This is an important article. I love these kinds of summary articles. Timely topics in nutrition, an overview of fatty acids in companion animal medicines. This is awesome. So, fatty acids are very, very, very popular with people and with veterinary medicine. And a lot of us doctors are quite ignorant to why it is we recommend what we recommend. And even though this paper is from 2015, so keep that in mind, that things could have changed since then in terms of regulations and quality of supplements out there. Not only are fatty acids very important, especially essential fatty acids, which are those fatty acids that the animals can't make on their own, but it is imperative for pet owners to understand why it is we recommend these and how to make smart choices. So we're going to go through it. It's a little bit lengthy and a lot of abbreviations. I'm going to try and not use abbreviations if I can, but we'll go through it. So fatty acids provide important roles in the body. They are fuel. They transport fat-soluble vitamins. They're part of cell membranes. They're part of cell regulation, cell signaling, management of disease. Fatty acids nomenclature. Fatty acids are hydrocarbon chains. One method of describing them is the chain length, or the number of carbons contained in a fatty acid. And here in this picture is an example of these chain lengths. And each one of these what would you say, points, angles, that's a carbon molecule. That's how these things are anatomically identified. So you can describe fatty acids by the chain length, how long they are, or the number of carbons contained in a fatty acid. Fatty acids can be classified into three categories. They can be short chain, so they have less than 6 carbons. They can be medium chain, 6 to 12 carbons, or long chain, which are over 12 carbons. Medium chain fatty acids are absorbed in the portal bloodstream, go to the liver from the GI tract. Long chain are absorbed through a process involving lymphatic system, go to the liver only after going through the heart. Medium chain can be beneficial in patients with disorders of lipid digestion or absorption because they are absorbed via a different method. Fatty acids, that's why that's important there between long chain and medium chain. Fatty acids can also be classified as either saturated or unsaturated. This describes the number of double bonds in the hydrocarbon chain. So when you see 2 lines, that's double bonds. All the other lines that are single are assumed to be single bonds. Saturated fatty acids have no double bonds. Unsaturated have double bonds. They can be further described as monounsaturated, meaning 1 double bond, or polyunsaturated, which means at least 2 double bonds. And by the way, this paper comes out of the Royal Canin Dog Food Company. And so the more double bonds in the fatty acid chain, the lower the melting point. Saturated fatty acids, those are ones that have no double bonds, are solid in room temperature, whereas polyunsaturated fatty acids are liquid. Double bonds also make membranes more fluid. So unsaturated fatty acids, which are the ones that contain the double bonds, can be further classified on the basis of the location of the first double bond relative to the methyl or omega end of the fatty acid. Fatty acids can be omega-3, also described as N3, which is the first double bond is located between carbons 3 and 4 from the omega end. Omega-6 or N6 have the first double bond between carbons 6 and 7 from the omega end. Omega-7 or N7, the first double bond between carbons 7 and 8 from the omega end, and omega-9 or N9 have the first double bond between carbons 9 and 10 from the omega end. Omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids are essential for mammals. Essential means they can't make it on their own. They have to get it from diet. It doesn't mean that they're more important. It just means that they come from dietary means and they're not made endogenously. So they have to be consumed in the diet because animals lack delta 1,2 desaturase and delta 1,5 desaturase that insert double bonds in the omega-3 and omega-6 positions. And here are enzymes that we're going to be talking about here to describe this process. In general, omega-7 and omega-9 fatty acids are endogenously synthesized by delta-9 desaturase, which desaturates between carbons 9 and 10 from the carboxyl end. Because omega-7 and omega-9 fatty acids can be endogenously synthesized, they are not essential in the diet of mammals. So omega-3 and omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acids can also be described as long-chain polyunsaturated fatty acids when they contain over 18 carbons. And this is known here, as you see this here. Long-chain polyunsaturated fatty acids refers to arachidonic acid, which is also iocosatetronic acid, which is also named as 20:4N-6. Then there's EPA, which is eicosapentaenoic acid, which is 20:5N-3. And then there's DHA, which is docosahexaenoic acid, which is 22:6N-3. Although there are other long-chain polyunsaturated fatty acids like docosapentaenoic acid, which is 22:5N-3. A fatty acid may be referred to by its common name, like arachidonic acid, its systematic name based on chain length and number of double bonds, like EPA or DHA or what have you, or a numerical name like 20:4N-6 or 20:5N-3. Thus, polyunsaturated fatty acids may be described by several terms, such as LA, which is linoleic acid, also known as octadecanoic acid, or 18:2N-6, or ALA, which is alpha linoleic acid, or known as octadecatranoic acid, 18:3N-3. Okay, now in regards to the essentiality of omega-6 and omega-3. Non-essential fatty acids can be synthesized from other dietary fatty acids, provided the precursor fatty acids are consumed in the diet. Plants can synthesize omega-6 and omega-3, which makes them good dietary sources of essential fatty acids. Common dietary omega-6 fatty acids include linoleic acid and arachidonic acid, whereas common dietary omega-3 fatty acids include ALA, which is alpha linoleic acid, EPA, and DHA. Algae can synthesize large amounts of omega-3 fatty acids, which make marine animals that consume algae a good source of EPA and DHA. In dogs, arachidonic acid is synthesized from linoleic acid by desaturase and elongase enzymes, and that's here. This shows the conversion. So you can see there are omega-6 fatty acids, like linoleic acid, or omega-3 fatty acids, like ALA, which is alpha linoleic acid. And as it goes through these enzymes, the structure changes of these molecules. And so in dogs, arachidonic acid is synthesized from linoleic acid by desaturase and elongase enzymes. Cats have a dietary requirement of arachidonic acid because of limited delta-6 desaturase activity. DHA is conditionally essential for puppies and possibly kittens. DHA plays a role in development of nervous system. EPA and DHA are of interest because of their anti-inflammatory properties. Although ALA can be converted to EPA and DHA in dogs, this process is inefficient and non-existent in cats. In humans, synthesis of EPA as a result of conversion from ALA is less than 6%, and synthesis of DHA from conversion from ALA is less than 0.1%. In dogs, conversion rate is less than 10%. Now, clinical signs of fatty acid deficiency. One common scenario where an essential fatty acid deficiency could develop is a dog that's on a homemade diet with fatty acids provided from sources like beef tallow, coconut oil, olive oil. They don't have enough quantities of LA or ALA to meet daily requirements for essential fatty acids. Clinical signs of deficiency of essential omega-6 fatty acids include derm issues like alopecia, scaly skin, bruising, reproductive abnormalities like tubular degeneration of the testes in males, failure of queens, which are female intact cats, to give birth to viable neonates, and poor growth. Clinical manifestations of deficiency of omega-3 are not as pronounced as for omega-6 and generally include nervous system abnormalities. Clinical signs of fatty acid deficiency may be more commonly observed during demanding life stages like growth or gestation and lactation. Now, special functions of long-chain polyunsaturated fatty acids. More double bonds in phospholipid fatty acids lead to more fluidity of membrane structures. Neurologic tissue tends to concentrate long-chain omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids in myelin. Long-chain polyunsaturated fatty acids, including arachidonic acid and EPA, are essential for eicosanoid production. Eicosanoids are fatty acyl-derived metabolites, including prostaglandins, prostacyclin, thromboxane, lipoxin, leukotrienes. Long-chain omega-3 polyunsaturated fatty acids, especially DHA, are involved in retinal, neural, and auditory development. EPA and DHA have been used in the management of inflammatory and chronic diseases. Now, sources of omega-3 and omega-6. These include plants and animals. Fats stored in tissues of animals, either terrestrial or aquatic, reflect the dietary intake of that animal. Various amounts of LA and ALA are found in plant products, including oil and seeds. Good sources of linoleic acid include corn oil and canola oil, whereas fatty acids in flax seeds are predominantly ALA. Plants contain little or no arachidonic acid. Concentrations of polyunsaturated fatty acids differ among types of plants and plant products can also contain other types of fatty acids like medium chain, as in coconut oil, or monounsaturated like in olive oil. Some types of marine algae contain DHA. Pet foods can also be a good source of omega-3s. When the goal is to provide supplemental EPA and DHA, fatty acid products that contain both omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids are less likely to be effective because of lower concentrations of EPA and DHA in these products. Not all fish oil is equivalent and not all products are the same. Products containing vitamin A and vitamin D should be avoided, although it is not always indicated on the label that a product contains excessive amounts of vitamin A and vitamin D. Now, doses of omega-3. The dose of omega-3 can be expressed in numerous ways. It can be expressed as the number of milligrams of total omega-3 fatty acids per kilogram of body weight. It can be expressed as the number of milligrams of EPA and DHA per kilogram of body weight. The number of milligrams of EPA and DHA per kilogram of metabolic body weight, so body weight to the 0.75 power. Dietary amount on a per energy basis in grams or milligrams per 100 or 1,000 kilocalories, or the dietary amount on a per weight basis, so grams or milligrams per 100 grams of diet as fed basis or dry matter basis. Dietary amounts of omega-6 versus omega-3 can be expressed as dietary ratio of N6 to N3 or as absolute amounts as previously mentioned. However, the N6 to N3 ratio can be misleading. The ratio includes total omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids, including ALA, because ALA does not have the same metabolic effects or benefits such as EPA and DHA, a ratio for which the total N3 portion includes a substantial amount of ALA is not metabolically identical to one that includes primarily EPA and DHA. Some researchers support the use of a high absolute dose of omega-3, whereas others support a low N6 to N3 ratio to modulate inflammation and disease. Now, assessment of fatty acid status. You can measure plasma phospholipid and blood cell membrane fatty acid concentrations. Fatty acid status can be used to assess response to treatment, like from dietary or supplemental omega-3. Fatty acid analysis is commonly performed on plasma or on platelet and erythrocyte membranes, likely because of the ease of collection of these blood products. In dogs, a correlation between plasma fatty acid concentrations and concentrations of fatty acids in erythrocyte membranes has been detected for omega-3 but not omega-6. Membranes of other cell types can be analyzed, but tissue collection is more difficult and more invasive. And then finally, the safety and regulatory issues. Although fatty acid products are used in management of conditions in humans, dogs, cats, horses, supplement type products are not subject to the same regulation as drugs are. The FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration, does not require proof of safety or efficacy. The Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994 holds the FDA responsible for taking action against unsafe dietary supplements for humans after they reach the market, but the FDA does not ensure accuracy of labeling unless a product is reported to be detrimental. Fatty acid products can have adverse effects. Adverse effects of supplemental omega-3 include potential effects on coagulation and results of rancidity. And there you go. So complicated, a lot to digest there. For folks who want to really know this stuff, you probably have to watch this video multiple times to get a sense of it. I think these pictures are very helpful in looking at this stuff. But we'll see as we go through more journals here. I'm sure there are many papers that go over this stuff. It's so important in animals and in people. The one thing I guess I'll leave you with for veterinarians is, and actually for people, just because you pay more for a product doesn't make it better. There are studies that show that the unit price of something as it goes up doesn't necessarily correlate to the accuracy of what the label says for what's in it. So don't assume because you're paying more that it's good. My thought on this kind of stuff is obviously feed your animal a balanced diet. And if you're going to try a fatty acid product, assuming the label says that there's nothing that's dangerous for animals, try it for a couple of months, see what happens. If you're not happy with your dog's condition clinically, like with GI or skin or neurologic status or whatever it is that you're trying to improve, then maybe try another product for a couple of months and see how your pet deals with it. So that's my thought. Outside of having more research and outside of measuring actual blood values, a trial and error in a controlled manner is probably the way to go. All right, I will stop there. Thanks so much for watching this video, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.